With active duty military in the field, President Obama's own particular take on the war on terror seems a bit conflicted tonight. One of his top aides insisting the president has gotten America out of two wars. But over the weekend, the U.S. military moved into Pakistan to target a Taliban figure described as an obstacle to peace, yet not on major hit list. What can you tell us about all that?
Well, two major developments today in the war on terror. First of all, the Iraqi security forces launched a major frontal assault on the long-held ISIS city of Fallujah. And then secondly, the leader of the Taliban in Afghanistan was taken out over the weekend by a U.S. drone attack.
This is the burned-out car in which Taliban leader Mullah Mansour was killed by a U.S. drone strike in southwestern Pakistan on Saturday. From Vietnam, President Obama confirmed Mansour's death, noting the Taliban leader had repeatedly targeted U.S. personnel. The president emphasized the attack does not reflect any escalation of U.S. operations there.
We are not re-entering the day-to-day combat operations that are currently being conducted by Afghan security forces. Our job is to help Afghanistan secure its own country.
At the Pentagon, senior officials called Mansour's killing a defensive strike, noting they sought and were given approval for it from the president. Aside from many CIA drone attacks, this was only the second U.S. military strike within Pakistan's borders, the first being the bin Laden raid. Both have left the Pakistani government deeply unhappy.
Yes, we are protesting strongly, and it happened after several years, which should have not happened. As I've said before, this is in violation of the sovereignty of Pakistan.
The attack comes at a time when the administration's narrative about its Middle East legacy is increasingly at odds with what's happening on the ground.
And just look at what's happened in the last 7 years. Our unemployment rate going from 10% down to 5%, our automobile industry back, ending 2 wars.
I mean, the level of violence in Afghanistan has gone up threefold. Taliban holds more territory now than any time in the last 15 years.
In Iraq, Prime Minister al-Abadi today launched a ground offensive to retake Fallujah from ISIS. President Obama ordered over 3,500 U.S. troops back to Iraq after pulling them at the end of 2011. And recently he sent an additional 450 troops to train and advise. U.S. aircraft have hit 21 targets in Fallujah over the last week to soften up the city.
No accident, because it's always been a hotbed of Sunni militants, and it also is where al-Qaeda in Iraq actually was born.
The Fallujah offensive may also be al-Abadi's attempt to try to regain control after a wave of suicide bombings around Baghdad and after the storming of his government zone by followers of firebrand Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr.
Killing Taliban leader Mansour may reap short-term gains. He was known to be a driving force behind the Taliban's resurgence. But at the same time, he didn't even make the top 25 of the State Department's list of terrorists, suggesting that whomever replaces him could be just as bad. Brett?
Doug McKelway live at the Pentagon tonight. Doug, thanks.